I don't think that I missed but 1 year down here. No, maybe, yeah, 2 years. During World War II, I was not here because I was working for the Navy. I was a welder for the Navy. Well, I'll tell you, during the Depression, women had a hard time. You had to take anything that you could get, and it was a wonderful thing when World War II came on. In a way, it was a godsend because it opened all these fields. They just took the men everywhere and just grabbed them. They got everybody, and somebody had to do all the work. So they trained the different people for different things. I had took a lot of civil service examinations, and they used to send me these slips. And I was working for a tailor at that time, and I used to say when I came home and I'd get my mail, I'd say, gee, all these slips, I don't know which one to take. I had worked in the Navy Yard and the WPA, and they had some kind of a project going in there, and I was doing paperwork, typing all day long. Oh boy, was it something! All these reports, and it was very dull. But I liked the atmosphere over there. A friend of mine, he had a big job, and he said to me, Barbara, he called me up. He said, you want to train to be something? He said, the first thing he told me I could train to be was a machinist. And I said, okay, that didn't sound too bad. I went down and trained on it. It was a night job. I worked days, and I'd go down there at night at 6 o'clock and stay till 12. It was way down Atlantic Avenue. They had a blackout down there. You couldn't see when I got off the elevated train. I didn't know where I was. I was scared to death. I lasted just about 2 weeks on that. A man came in there and he said, we're looking for women. We want to train them to weld. And I said to him, I'll go. I said, where do you have to go? And he says, the welding school is on St. Paul Street. Well, that was a 5 minutes walk from where I live. I said, this is it. So I went there, and they taught us to do flat welding, vertical welding. Then a slip came through. That's when that slip came through from the Navy Yard. And I said, I'm going in there, and I bet you some way or other I'll get to do something I want to do. The pay was good. So I went in there, and the first day they gave me a job operating a crane with a push button. You just took sheets of metal and you clamped them on this, and you pushed this thing and it raised the metal up in the air, and then you walked along this long place and took the sheet of metal where it was supposed to go. Well, I was doing that. It was so monotonous. And the man that had charge of it came in there and he said to me, how do you like it? Oh, I said, it'll do. But I said, I know how to weld. He said, what? I said, I know how to weld. So he said, come on. He took me into the boss, and they looked me up and down like I was some kind of a racehorse or something. And he said, where did you learn? And I told him. And he said, okay, we'll put you in welding school. Nobody welds in the Navy Yard until they go to welding school. I don't care if they are an expert. They put them in that school. You have to go to school for 5 days, and then they give you a test. They take this metal and they give it to you in a flat piece of metal, 2 pieces of metal, and you weld it together. And then they take it to some place, and they put it under so many pounds of pressure to see if it will crack. If it cracks, you have to start all over again and keep welding. If it doesn't crack, they start you on the vertical seams that go up and down. You do that for 5 days. Do nothing all day long but all this thing up and down. They test that. Then if you can do those two and you pass it, then they put you out on the floor and let you weld some sheets together. Don't put you on any ships or anything like that. It's a long time before you hit ships. It must have been about 3 months of nothing but welding plates, sitting all day long and welding these big plates. Then they took you back into the welding school and you learned to weld overhead. And you finished doing that and you passed the exam. Then they put you where? Outside. And you stay outside and you stay out there for months and months. Cold, rain, anything. The first job we had, I remember outside, they laid a keel to a ship and they sent 10 girls down in the bottom of this place and you had to sit there and weld all day long down the bottom of this keel of the ship to see it. And when that was done, then they put you somewhere else and you put us on a place they call the cradles. And the cradles, we stayed in the cradles a long time. That is welding sections of a ship. You know, pieces. They take pieces and weld them and then put the pieces together. Do that for a little while and they put you different places. The last few months I was in the Navy Yard, every day that I go to work, they put me some different place. I have a weld on destroyers, I weld on superstructure of submarine. And destroyer escorts, you could weld any part of a destroyer escort. But destroyers are made out of these same kind of steel that they make ash barrels of. And that's why the nickname is Tin Can. You've heard that the expression tin can. Well, that's why they call it that, because they're very lightweight and they give off a terrible poisonous powder. And you have to have a blower with you everywhere you go when you weld with that, so that you won't inhale the fumes. Welding is dangerous work. It's dangerous work. They pay people very well for it, but you can get yourself in some places where you have to weld, where it is dangerous. I was telling Frankie one day, we were looking at the bow doors on the Islander, and I said to him, I weld about 10 wagons, buckets, great big carts, I said, of hinges for those doors, because they got the idea of those ships from the landing ships, you know, that they had during World War II. And we made 30 ships for England. And when I left there, I think they were still working on a couple of submarines. But as I say, on the submarines, we were only allowed to weld the superstructure because welding for submarines take first class and better than first class welders. They have to be extremely good. There's an outer shell, then there's a space, and then there's an inner shell, and you're not allowed to work on those. I have worked in a submarine helping an electrician put up different things that they had to put up for electricity. But I was never allowed to weld seams or no, they don't allow you to do that. But on ordinary boats you could do it. You could do it. It was not what I would call glamorous work. It was just work, that's all.